If you don't aim high, you'll never get high. The other 3 skills you have unsure, never heard of. You are encountering your problem.
Так, колеги, будемо продовжувати. Нагадаю, що ми продовжуємо збирати донати, тому не забувайте донатити. Ось, якщо вам сподобалась доповідь Олега, а мені здається, доповідь була дуже крута, то закиньте, будь ласка, донати, і скоро буде розіграш головного подарунку сьогоднішнього, тож обов'язково візьміть в цьому участь. Далі у нас в гостях буде Калін. Калін – це якби ключова людина в світі expired доменів. Ось, і не знаю, якщо ви користувались в своїх SEO-тактиках колись expired доменами, то я думаю, що ви точно знаєте Каліна і його проект SEO.Domains. Ось, тож, мені здається, це буде чудовий гість для нас, і прохання бути активними в чаті, і загалом, якби, показати нам, і чи вам цікаві іноземні гості, чи ні, це впливатиме на наші подальші рішення. Тож, поїхали. Hi, Kalin. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Nice to see you. Great to have you with us today. I've just introduced you to our audience as one of the most well-known experts in the world of the expired domains, domains industry, and SEO in general. I think that a lot of Ukrainians know your product, so it wasn't be a big surprise for them, and I'm sure that they're waiting for you. So the stage is yours. Audience is waiting. Let's dive into the presentation.
Thank you. So, what are the building blocks of a successful gray hat SEO? Today, it's going to be less of an SEO talk and more of a life and mindset talk, because I'm actually not the best SEO, arguably even the worst. I've done SEO for 18 years, but I have much more websites penalized than I have ever ranked something. And our main website, SEO.Domains, right now has DR88, but not a lot of organic traffic. So I think we can say with confidence that it's the biggest link juice waste in the world. But still, our company has somehow sold SEO resources for over $14 million. And we also have sales that are out of SEOs, like traffic and other stuff. So how does this happen? How do you build an empire? Not an evil empire, of course, but how do you scale? It's basically only 2 parts in this: to know yourself and to know the world. If you know yourself, you know how to get the best out of yourself. And if you know the world, you know where the weak spots of the world structures is. So that's where you can push and conquer, build an empire. The mindset you need to sell stuff for $25 million is clear. You have to aim high. If you don't aim high, you'll never get high. To aim high, you also need to reinvent yourself every day, because in order to achieve something big, you need to try all the possible ways. And it's the same for companies. You should be ready to reinvent your company, your business, your niches, your business models at any chance. So how do we get to this agility, to this mental strength to do this constantly, even though it's usually out of our comfort zone? I think we can break it down into 6 skills: 3 emotional skills and 3 intellectual skills. The emotional skills are to accept the past, all of your mistakes, all of your failures, everything that's happened that wasn't supposed to happen in this way. Doesn't matter. It's in the past. So first, acceptance mostly of the past. Then, mindfulness of the present, which means whatever happens to you, don't be reactive, just let it pass, and after some time, you will be able to have a much better vision about what actually went down. So for the present, mindfulness. And for the future, mostly the near future, which we have more influence over, it's direction. Do we go to the right direction? Mostly there are just 2 directions in life: do nothing or do something. When you do something, you're active, you're in, as we say, hunter mode. When you chase stuff, that's the thing that is not only good for success, but also good for your mental health and good for everything else that's going on in you. So this is more or less mainstream, but the other 3 skills you have, I'm sure, never heard of, because these are terms that I invented myself. All of your knowledge in the world can be summed up in 3 types of intuition: intuition about structures. This is how things relate to each other, all the cause and effect relationships. And then we have an intuition about quantities, which is how much they affect each other and when do thing A affect thing B so much that thing B actually changes. So all of the breaking points of systems, of people sometimes. The intuition about quantities is very key to everything that is more fluid, like the world of digital, the SEO, the money flows, and the relationships with people. It's all about intuition about quantities. And if you think about everything in the world is either a structure or a quantity, there's nothing else. So if you have feel about these two things, you have a feel about everything. Most people have a feel either about structures, these are, let's say, software developers, mathematicians, more abstract thinkers, or about quantities, which are more intuitive people. But there's something else. If you want to understand how humans work, how we work, we need an intuition about network systems. A network system is simply something where everything is connected to everything in a way, like the internet. And in a network system, everything becomes about vibes, about waves. Does this wave of change die out or lead to massive change for the entire system? You are a network system. Every human is a network system. Our society is also a network system because people influence each other a lot. So if you understand and feel network systems, you understand how the world works. A network system is simply a lot of structures and quantities, but since everything is connected to everything, it's now only important that the positive feedback loops, where they, no matter if they are good or bad, as long as they are positive feedback loops, as long as they're amplified by the system, what actually happens with them and where do they lead you. This is why if a person has a single thought, it may define their whole day or a whole week or a whole month if they cannot get it out of their head and it starts producing more emotions and more thoughts and get them into usually bad direction. But of course, good change in life is also a vibe in the network system that is us. How do we understand all of this complexity? If we try to understand it scientifically, empirically, it's too hard for the human brain, but we can try to understand it intuitively. Intuition is much more powerful than logic because it's evolutionary older and you already have a lot of data for intuition, but you don't have that much data for your logic because the data that you acquire subconsciously is part of the intuition, but only the conscious part of your brain is part of the logic. So logic is super less powerful than intuition, probably a million times less powerful at least. So intuition comes from experience. It's not anything supernatural. It just comes from the data points in your life. However, there is a problem because when you get data for your intuition, so you can understand yourself and the world, the data has to lay on some structure. If it's just a bunch of mixed signals, you cannot develop any intuition. So we are copying the structures to build our intuition from the world. But the world structures are very imperfect. They are sometimes completely wrong. So what is I Grow Younger, the system I created? It's basically many things. It's a non-profit, it's a book, but more than everything, it's a structure that you can use the data points in your life to create your own intuition. So it's like a tool set, it's a tool. And why do we need to have a special tool to build your intuition? The reason is that the way we look at the world is a big mess. There are too many things, but there are some really core things that we call them driving forces, the things that make the other things happen. So with these in mind, you suddenly have much more clarity about what are the reasons about everything in your life and the world that's happening. And the things that you can really improve when you divide the things into core driving forces and just symptoms are these 6 things. First, we already said, acceptance and conditional self-love. You should be responsible for your life, but not take blame from yourself. It's always harmful. Then, You have to segment everything into what's happening in your head and what's happening in reality, and never mix those. We call this game of self and game of life, and it is crucial to solving any problem. If you have a problem in your life, you separate it into game of self, game of life. If your boss is mean to you at work, you need to have two separate approaches. First, to not feel bad about it, game of self. Then somehow change the life situation, talk to your boss's boss or to HR or something. This is game of life, but not mix the two together because they don't mix well. Then we have the hunter mode and the sheep mode. The hunter is when you chase something, when you have the positive, good hormones in your life, when you are not stuck, when you are not paralyzed with fear. And the sheep mode is the opposite, when you are stuck and you overthink stuff and you don't do it. So hunter mode is good, sheep mode is bad, and this is about something that's happening in your body with the hormones. Then we need to understand that humans are extremely bad at figuring how things unfold in time, all the exponential functions, and all of the changes in time. We're just not built to handle it. We're very short-term built. So we should have an intuition about time, and even though it's not natural to feel how things evolve over time, to actually understand time somehow. And we measure success in long-term freedom, which means simply the more things that you can do, the better your life is. This is the only way to measure success in life, because everything else is either genetic or very much out of your control, or just a stupid goal like money or success or achievements. This will not make anyone happy or successful long-term. Long-term freedom, though, is good because it leaves the good doors open. But all of these things have one point where they all intersect. And this is the one rule that changes lives because it's connected to your behavior and it's very easy to implement. The 1 to 5 things are a bit abstract. You need time to implement over your life. But number 6, you can implement this very moment. And we'll talk about this the most. So, I have given a lot of talks about how to build an SEO empire, how to scale, how to build a bunch of websites, rank, sell links. But even though the talks are full of very clear maths that this is a very easy way to earn money, probably the best way to earn money online, people don't go into action. And so we have 2 parts of this presentation. We have the SEO answer of how to build a SEO empire, and we have the mindset answer. As there was a story that Albert Einstein was giving an exam at the university where he was a professor at Princeton, and the assistant to Einstein was running towards him and say, "Mr. Einstein, you gave the students the same problems as last year." And Einstein said, "Well, yeah." And the assistant said, "Well, won't they know the answers?" And Einstein said, "The answers have changed." So sometimes in life, the answers are still correct, but they change because we have a broader horizon, a wider, deeper way of looking into things. And that's why today we mix SEO with the bigger part of this, because SEO is part of life. You cannot completely understand why some people don't do the right SEO decisions, because it's a broader answer, an answer about how their life works. So, what's the SEO answer? Well, SEO, I spent most of my 18 years in the SEO industry thinking it's this. SEO is content and links and technical stuff, and you just rank websites in Google. But the reality is that in the bigger picture, SEO is this. Google is an ad selling machine with a search engine on the side in these days. So Google literally dumps more than $150 billion of value on websites as a byproduct. Google doesn't want to give this money. They would only show ads if they could, but they can't because they then will be outcompeted by a search engine that has organic search. So Google unwillingly dumps these hundreds of billions of dollars over websites, and it's a byproduct. SEO is not an industry. In industry, you create value. Here, the value is already created. Just have to get more out of it. So, the more you get, the better. And we'll get again and again to this, that SEO is not an industry. This creates a very different structure that SEO has compared to other activities. So in SEO, you only have two possible outcomes. Failed SEO is therapy. Why therapy? Well, if your industry, you don't have to create value, and Google gives you $150 billion a year of value, and you still somehow fail, the reason is not in the industry or the things you do. The problem is somehow in you. So you are encountering your problem. In psychology, this is called therapy. Therapy is where you have a problem and you try to face it in order to improve. So failed SEO is technically therapy. And successful SEO is plundering. You have this $150 billion a year or more, and the more you plunder, the more you get competing with other SEOs. So basically, successful and failed SEOs, mostly the reason that one is successful and another is failing is just how well they manage themselves. Not the SEO, not the technical stuff. It's the reasons are internal. What is the best model of SEO that we can think of? As there's already value, the value is already there, we can think as the SEOs are like pirates, not digital pirates, but old school pirates, like Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. So we're thinking big wooden ships and hunting treasures that are already in some islands. Why? Because the value is already there, which means that Google left you a treasure, you just have to get it. And it's very interesting what this comparison leads us to, because Google cannot take the treasures from you once you get them, because Google cannot penalize your bank account. They can only penalize your websites, which are your ships, the wooden ships. You get to keep all of your gold and you have unlimited lives in this game. So what does this mean? Of course, it means that you must have more ships, because every ship is a potential treasure taken. And even if Google kills your ships from time to time, if you endlessly make more and more and more ships, you're winning in this game, because the ships don't matter, only the treasures and your shipbuilding capacity. So this leads to a very interesting conclusion about the size of your ships. If you have one very big ship, so one very big website, you're always at the danger of losing these ships. But if you have a lot of small ships, then you are more resilient. And we'll come back to this too. So SEO, because it's not an industry, has two free lunches, free lunch 1 and free lunch 2. Free lunch 1 is that when you publish content, it becomes a part of the internet forever, and then it can rank for a long time. So one-time effort, then long-term profit. That's great. Not a lot of things in life work like this. With AI content, of course, even better. The costs come close to zero, so you can endlessly have more and more and more content. Of course, if you have more websites. Again, we come that more websites is better. But free lunch 2 is much more interesting, because every link that an SEO or anyone places from website A to website B, it basically creates value out of thin air, because website B earns the value of the link, but website A doesn't lose anything. Website A is still website A, with or without an outgoing link, which means that actually in SEO, most of the link value, the link juice value, is created out of thin air, which is something very, very unusual in the economy. Like, it's like if you go to a shop to buy bread, and you buy the bread and you give the money to buy the bread, and then they return you the bread and your money. That's creating value out of thin air. It's super counterintuitive. And in such a system, you should play this game in very unusual ways, because if you play the usual way, you're not taking advantage of those free lunches. Basically, the more websites you have and the more links you put, the more value you extract out of this system. So, scale. This is phone 96, the most important word in the whole presentation. Scale. If you don't scale in SEO, you lose. It's built to scale. It's in its very fabric. The structure The nature of SEO is scale with more websites, and specifically with low quality. Remember, the point of your ship is not to be beautiful, it's not to be fast, it's just to get to the island, get the treasure, and put it in your bank account. It doesn't matter the quality that you do it is, as long as it works. What do we scale for? Cash, because with cash you can always build more ships and scale this endlessly. And it's very important that free launch 1 and free launch 2 are not built equal. Content, once you publish it, it ranks, but it cannot be sold because it's already on your website. But with links, it's not like this. Links can be put to your website, pointed to your website, but also sold, which means that your ships can also carry other SEOs gold in our model, which makes this game, basically breaks the game. This breaks the game because if you have a lot of ships and cannot find the treasures, you can cooperate with other people who found the treasures but don't have the ships. This means that this collaboration is so natural that it happens very naturally. That's why there are so many link marketplaces, because this is a natural symbiosis. And this means that you can make as many websites as you can, and as long as Google doesn't penalize like most of them, you always earn super easy money from selling links. My first website didn't make any money in the normal ways like ads and stuff or affiliate, but it made a lot of money in selling links, and in the end it was profitable, which was crazy. Just selling links and many years of life means profit. So the plundering method is just about the link juice. If SEO was mathematics, the maximizing equation would be just to forget about rankings and just produce link juice and give it to the others who rank. This is the easiest way to make money in SEO. But SEO actually is mathematics. SEO is kind of deterministic, because even if you don't know all the parameters in those equations in Google may change them 1,000 times a day. It doesn't matter because it's the same for everyone. Still, link juice will always be link juice. And now with the AI overviews and stuff, even mentions become more important, because if your brand is mentioned everywhere, it will go into the AI overviews. So, and mentions are even easier to make than links. And what do you need again? More websites to do the mentions in. So basically, this is the way to break SEO. This is the way to break the equations. But why do so little people understand this? Why don't all of us have 10,000 websites? Even my company, it has 200,000 domains, has only made 11,000 websites so far. Why? We're not committed enough to this thing that I'm telling you about. Basically, our company, SEO.Domains, is a 120 people team that only hunts for domains. Finds, evaluates, buys, catches, enormous 7-figure investments in catching. We have an endless supply of link juice. But the fact that people are not buying our domains to sell links, of course some do, but not so many. Most buy our domains in order to rank, which, as we just learned, is way more risky and just not so well suited to the structure of SEO. This means that people are irrational in that regard, because link selling was 18 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and today by far the easiest way to make money in the SEO world, as long as, of course, that you do it smart. SEO.Domains, we are not an SEO company. We're a domain company. We're a resource company. We're always about the plundering. And we're always about how to get the link juice resource. By now, I believe that we are the largest holder of link juice in the world, because we have 160,000 domains with links, some up to DR80. So we have a ton of link juice. Our main problem is how to convince people to use this link juice to produce more link juice. The ones that buy the domains to rank, they already know their stuff. But to multiply link juice using free launch 2, this is our main challenge, how to explain this to people. But link selling is extremely good, not just for cash, but also for diversity. Because imagine if you have a PBN link only your website, it becomes a fingerprint. But if you sell links all over the place, no matter, you can sell casino links, Viagra links, it won't damage the reputation of your PBN that much. The important thing is diversity. When you have diversity, Google's algorithm cannot single out your PBNs. And think about it. If you win, even if your money sites fail, then you can scale endlessly because the risk becomes zero. It's now negative risk because you always win. So this is how you overcome your internal doubts and you can just push it and scale it. Basically, the best way to sell links is to buy about 20 domains. They are 20 to 30, where there's good quality versus price ratio from different countries. You do local language AI content, targeting some long tail keywords in order to get some organic traffic, hopefully. You do the same design, so it's low effort about doing different WordPress themes and so on, and you href rank each to every other one. And in this way, for Google, you have one website. For hrefs, you have websites linked to each other, which means your DR will increase to like 40 something. But for link buyers, you have different websites because they see a Canadian website, they buy a Canadian link. They see a Swedish website, they buy Swedish links, which means that you are getting the best out of both worlds. For Google, you have one website, but for link buyers, you have 20 websites. And in this way, and of course, if you combine these two rare markets and super competitive niches, like of course, gambling, then you can make a lot of money from link selling. And if you don't manage to get organic traffic naturally, you can try to either include some low competition keywords in the website to get some organic traffic, or you can just go all black hat and do it with bots. Because even if the websites don't have organic traffic, the links still work quite well. So buyers shouldn't care. But if they care that much, you can just basically just pump your hrefs numbers.
Are you tired of being ghosted by websites? Sick of rejection emails, denied, ignored? Always stuck waiting for traffic, but it never comes? Then better call Collaborator. We bring marketers and publishers together. Over 40 filters to find your perfect match, and no more searching around. Link Juice from over 38,000 websites in 146 countries. That's global reach, baby. This is what page 1 on Google tastes like. It is not just a platform, it's a revolution. It is time to dive into quality backlinks. Collaborator.pro, the only backlink marketplace that gets it.
So, SEO.Domains, the largest inventory of such domains in the world, partially because we don't have the greatest sales and marketing. We're much better at catching domains than at selling. But this is where you can get these country domains so that you can sell links in those high demand markets, like for example, Scandinavia, Canada, and other countries which have booming gambling markets. There is no better time to build a PBN. Why? Well, AI content. Now, cost is close to zero. We have private who is by default now in most TLDs because of GDPR. You can hide your IPs become Cloudflare, which means you don't need tons of different hosting accounts. AI can help you generate different WordPress themes now even. And Google is not really very big on manual penalties in the last years because basically PBNs are good for Google. They will never admit it, of course, but PBNs are good for Google because if you do PBNs, you are a sustainable SEO. You made great black hat, but you're sustainable. You're not doing it to just make a scam and then forget about it. PBNs are slow, which means that only big reputable companies with good services create PBNs, which means that PBNs are like a shield from the real black hat stuff, like hacking websites and so on. So Google, of course, they will never officially admit it, but they kind of are okay with PBNs. So they don't chase them down very aggressively. But see, all of these things that I'm telling you will not matter one bit unless you have the other answer, the mindset answer. Because our default state is inertia. We are presented with actionable information, but we do nothing. Like I learned about Bitcoin when Bitcoin was $26. Not 26,000, $26 in 2012. I heard about Bitcoin. I was like, sounds cool. And they did nothing. I learned about Ethereum when Ethereum was not even a currency. I learned about the project Ethereum because before they had the currency out, I could have bought it basically close to zero. Didn't do anything. So the biggest loss in life is when you get very good information, when you get a good structure, which you can rely on, make money, increase your freedom, but you do nothing about it. So how do we become actionable? How do we break this inertia? Here's when this 6th point that I told you, the 6th part of the I Grow Younger system, comes into play. Everything in this world and in yourself is either a box or a flow. Why? Because if you can define it, it's a box. You can say, this is this. If you cannot define it, it's a flow. A lot of good things are flows. Love, motivation, creativity, intuition. These are things that you cannot really define well. They are part of you and they flow into every area of your life. A lot of the bad things in life are boxes. The fears, the barriers, all of your expectations and all of your limiting beliefs, all of these are boxes. So it can become a universal rule that flows are good and boxes are bad. And in this way, you can develop this intuition about what in your life feels like a box and what feels like a flow. And then you can pursue flows and try to get rid of boxes. For example, your phone is the worst box out there because it's box full of endless other boxes and it's just trying to addict you into and steal your attention and distract you, which is the worst box ever. So if you spend less time on your phone, you're already closer to flows. Boxes and flows distract each other like fire and ice, because when you have a lot of boxes in your life, flows can flow. But if you have a lot of flows, boxes cannot form. So it's exactly like fire and ice. They destroy each other. And the thing about how boxes and flows work in mental health is that you love flows. Everyone wants to feel in love, motivated, creative. But the problem is that in the moments that you don't have these feelings, you need to rely on something. In your coping mechanisms, as they are called in psychology, they are always boxes. That's a big problem. So boxes are how we cope. So in our weak moments, boxes creep in. That's why when you feel unmotivated, the first thought you have is to bring up your phone and do something silly on it. So that's the problem with the boxes. How do we handle this? First, we need to know, how did this happen? The reason is that you have a left and a right brain, and your left brain, your more logical brain, is all about focus. Why? Because when the nervous system of the first creatures with brain or nervous system, 300 or something million years ago when they evolved, they had to catch food. So they needed a part of the nervous system that's all about search and destroy. Search for food, catch the food, eat the food. But then also these same creatures had to never be eaten, which means awareness. Where's my place in the world? What should I do so I am like in harmony with the world, so I don't like get my ass just in front of the predator and be eaten? And because while you eat, you can be eaten at the same time, the two hemispheres of your brain, the left one, which deals with the boxes, and the right one, which deals with your flows, including intuition and your like place in the world and your deep understanding about the world. Those two work at the same time. They generate ideas at the same time, but there's always a dominance of one over another. So you can be like in box mode or in flow mode. And the problem is that we evolved not as single beings, but as a collective. So the human tribe is like a thing of itself. And in the tribe, you can have the greatest intuition, but if you cannot explain it to your tribe members, it's useless for the tribe. While the logic you can explain to your tribe members, and you can, let's say, do a coordinated hunt or build a house or something. So the logic is valuable because we can share it about people, but it's a very, very weak mental tool for yourself. Intuition is extremely powerful. So whenever it's not about sharing and collective work, you should always trust your intuition because it's much better than your logic. The balance is only in the tribe, it's not in yourself. In yourself, there's a huge imbalance between the power of intuition and logic. And in the modern world, a lot of the things that we use logic, like cooperating and surviving, they're outsourced. You go to a store to buy food, you don't have to coordinate and hunt your food, which means that you need the flows more because the boxy stuff is outsourced to other structures in society. But our education system is very boxy, and we don't know how to teach flows because flows are uncreatable. You only can give them space to form, but you cannot create love or creativity or motivation. The only thing you can do is give them space and they will show up if you give them space and time, but you cannot create them because this is how flows work. So in the modern world, you need flows. Without flows, you will not have creativity and intuition, and you're bound to be not just unhappy, but also unsuccessful. So how do we create those flows if they are uncreatable? I had a lot of inspiration from the most stupidest story you can imagine, which was about a person who went to an university exam, university entrance exam, and they barely set foot in high school and they didn't know anything. And the exam was a test, 100 questions, A, B, C, D, E, and the person didn't know anything, and they wrote D as an answer to all the questions. So D, 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 a column, straight column of D's. And you're like, we're laughing so hard at this person, like, how can someone be like that bad intellectually? But it turns out that bad intellectually can actually mean quite healthy emotionally. Actually, the person even got into university because competition was so weak. But the thing is that he got into university, and to this day, he doesn't know which D's were correct, which is a very interesting thought because in life, you are extremely bad at change. You can have 10,000 opportunities for change, and you will not take each one of them because inertia is the driving force in your life. So we very rarely and very difficult way and very randomly make improvements in life. Most of our lives we're just stuck, which means that if you could be random, if we could have the same amount of chaos that this person introduced into the system by writing all the D's and not knowing which were correct, if we could just flip a coin every time and see which coin flip resulted in a change and just follow it, would be extremely successful. You know, all of these books like Atomic Habits that say, okay, let's improve 1% a day. 1% a day is huge improvement. But 1% a day means simply if you do 100 things today, do 2 of them twice as good, just twice better. It's not a big thing, but it's impossible for most people to improve 1% a day. Why? Because they cannot introduce the chaos, the randomness that needs to happen, and this structure, this box of inertia is like the biggest box in your life, they just hold them back. So how do we change this? Because inertia is a box, you need flows. And how do you generate flows? Basically, you find a box with no boxes inside and you go in there, and then flows are guaranteed. How does this work in practice? Okay, you go in nature, you get lost a bit in a forest. You can plan going into the forest, so it's kind of a box, but then there you have only flows. You're just wandering around. They're just trees and bird singings, and you just detach yourself from all of the boxes. And with experiences like this, experiences like sports, dancing, and other art and other good flows, you can create the space for this randomness, for this chaos to come and change you, because it's impossible to forcefully change yourself. It will always backfire. It will always fail. Discipline is not a changing force. It's a preserving force. So if you have discipline, it's even harder to change and improve yourself. That's why I have none. And basically, something that changes us a lot is stories. Why? Because stories are a flow. They are connected boxes, but in kind of a flow way. And so the stories we tell ourselves and about the world are extremely important because they become our identity. And our identity is can be flows. Our identity can be, I can achieve anything. And this is a flowy thing. But it can be a bunch of boxes. It can be, I'm an SEO. This is a boxy thing. It means that if you are an SEO and you encounter the best paid ads opportunity, you will not take it because you're an SEO, you're not paid ads person. And this is how your limiting beliefs, how the psychologists calls them, how they limit our progress, and ultimately how they prevent us from building the SEO or digital empire. Whenever your identity clashes with your plans, your wishes, your goals, your identity will win. Your identity is unbeatable. Your brain will protect your identity at all costs, which means that if your identity clashes with your intentions, your identity will sabotage your intentions. And this is what happens in many people. This is what has happened to me for many years. I couldn't progress because my identity didn't support the things that I was trying to achieve, because they didn't come from me. I had copied them from the world. So how does this look in practice? Here's the history of my professional journey. Green is good, red is bad. I started ranking websites. I basically started doing SEO without knowing what SEO is. I started working with clients before I knew it's called an agency. And I was just doing stuff. And it was good. I was advancing well. And in 2011, I had clients, I had content websites. Everything was looking great. And then I decided, okay, let's do separate big projects that I'm doing this project for this year, and I'll put all of my SEO and team and everything and resources into it. And all of those were epic fails. Why? I limited myself. I said, okay, this is the plan, we're doing it. When I had no plans, I was advancing very fast doing everything. When I made a specific plan, it became into a fail. Then when I failed a lot, I started doing domains, and I was again newbie mode on because I knew nothing about domains, and it was all great. 2014, the best and the worst thing happened simultaneously. Both were the same thing. We got investment. When we got investment, okay, it was good because we suddenly had money I could develop. But the bad thing is that we had to tell the investors what we do. We had to tell ourselves what we do, and we needed to plan. And when we started planning, of course, what happened? We made very stupid plans. We had the wrong business model for a year, and basically we dropped our flow identity and had boxy identities for 2 years. So these 2 years were basically spending VC money unproductively. And then in 2017, random event, we got 500,000 Swedish domains almost for free, and we just registered random stuff. And money started flowing from unexpected ways. And since then, we're only following the money flows, and it's been successful. But why? Because we no longer try to have an identity. Here's a super clear example. We have a competitor, they're called Odis.global. Amazing company, amazing people, good domains, a bit expensive, but good quality. And they are clean, verified. They can do much better due diligence because they have much less domains. And they have this great brand reputation that they are great and even a bit exclusive. And when we compare them to us, SEO.Domains, just about domains. We even don't have just domain for SEO. We have domains for traffic, domains for names. We do all kinds of domains. We don't have any identity. If you ask SEO.Domains what we do, we buy and sell domains. But are they all the best? Fuck no. So we just do all kinds of domains. And what happens when these two very different identities clashed in the open market? At the beginning, we had a bit more domains than Odis, but we were kind of comparable in scale. But then, because they stuck to their identity and only tried to get very good, very clean, and very sellable domains, they remained the same size. We got all kinds of domains. We got a lot of domains that we never sold. But from those, we got other benefits that I'll talk about in a minute. And in the end, something like this happened. So as we became just extremely bigger than them and than all the competition. Why? Just scale. Turns out quantity is quality. Now we have domains from all countries, niches, price ranges, clean, spammy. We get spammy domains for traffic, and then there are people who want to do negative SEO that come to us and want to buy the spammy domains. There is a market for everything if you try it. Basically, you just have to try everything. And because the small niche that no one tried has the easiest money in the world. Basically, we earned $7.5 million without knowing how. We just sparked all our domains. Some of our domains turned that they have traffic. Then we saw which domains have traffic, start chasing those, earned $7 million from the side. more than $500,000 just random sales. Like when you have so many domains, you just sell domains at random. Someone likes a specific domain or old owner. And we have a ton of visits, and all of these visits, they see buy this domain or find more domains at SEO.Domains. So huge visibility, which result in brand search, in good SEO. Everything is connected to everything here. So the more you have quantity, the more you have quality. And we have 11 revenue streams, including earning. There were $3,000, now there are $5,000 a month from receiving spam emails, not sending, just receiving, and reselling the data to some security companies. There are money in everything, I can assure you, if you try it and no one else has. And of course, this leads to some fails. Like it's not all rosy. Why? Because when you let the flows guide you, you don't plan, and some things turn out really stupid. For example, we have unsold domains for $45 million, and we had 2 marketing people. One of them quit, and now we have 1 marketing person, and our marketing is super bad. But this is fixable. This is fixable because it's not part of our core identity. Well, it's not part of our core identity that you are stupid and we cannot think that we need marketing. It's just something that happened and will be fixed. And when it's like this, when the feeling is still that you're rolling the boulder downhill, that things become naturally and easy, then it works. And how do you know if you're rolling the boulder downhill? When you sell stuff, when you sell products or services, or in our case, domains, without basically good marketing, then you know that you have the right product and you're addressing the right market. We are searching for resellers, which can work in all possible ways. If you want to earn some easy money by reselling our domains, contact us via the SEO.Domains website. We have already paid more than $250,000 to resellers. We have a decent 20% commission, and a lot of the domains sell for 4 or 5 figures, so that's decent money. We also sell PBN links from our network, but as I said, don't buy them, create them. Create the ships. It's better to create the ships than rent the ships. And I'm sure that you have a final question. Everyone has the same question. They say, but what happens with the flows? Are the flows effective? Isn't just this wishy-washy, new age guru stuff that is just don't lead us anywhere in life? No. I can tell you for sure, I have 18 years of experience in this same thing. And always the flows, they bring the value. Just the value is hidden. It's impossible to measure. But you can imagine it in this way. If with the boxes, you at best, if you don't self-sabotage yourself somehow, you get effectivity. And you can achieve the possible. With flows and with creativity, you can achieve the impossible. Not the objectively impossible, of course, but the things that you thought were impossible. Goals and achievements much higher than the ones that you set. You can just scale beyond your wildest dreams. Why? Because there's no barrier to stop yourself. So remember, effectivity will help you achieve the possible, but creativity will help you achieve the impossible. What is the impossible? Well, you don't know, because it's a wall like you cannot see on the other side. But the moment you break the wall, the world can be yours. Thank you. You can find me on all social media. And in SEO.Domains, we have a special promo code valid till the end of the month. It's Sława Ukraina, of course. And it gets you a very decent discount from domains and links. And you can also check I Grow Younger, which is the philosophy and the mindset that is the basis for most of this talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech. It was amazing and great promo code, actually. Yeah, so unfortunately, we've run out of time for our Q&A session, but I would like to ask one question from the audience. If I have a budget of 5K, is it better to buy one strong domain or several smaller ones?
I will do 5 to 10 smaller ones.
Okay.
This is just the way the link market works. It's better to have links in different countries because that's where the demand is bigger. If you have Scandinavia and gambling, for example, you are bound to sell links even if you have almost no organic traffic, and the prices are crazy. So of course you can go big, but then if you don't find link buyers for some reason, it's like not putting all of your eggs in one basket.
Okay, thank you very much for this answer. Sorry, we don't have more time. We need to go to the next speaker. One more time, thank you very much for your time, for sharing your knowledge, and it was a big pleasure for us and for audience. Thank you.
Thank you.